Today, we're diving into one of Uganda's most haunting and truly tragic criminal cases. It's a story about how the twisted pursuit of wealth led to an unspeakable crime and a fight for justice that would span more than a decade. It all kicked off on what should have been a totally normal day. But this date, October 27th, 2008, would become infamous. A young boy just disappeared. And the reason behind it? It was something straight out of a nightmare. So to really understand what happened, we've got to go back to that day and talk about the young boy at the very center of this story. Joseph Kasirye was just 12. A regular kid living his life in a small, quiet village. He was a part of the community fabric, a familiar face you'd see playing near his grandfather's home. Just a happy kid. And then, just like that, in the middle of the afternoon, he vanished. No one saw a thing. No one heard a struggle. One second he was there, and the next, he was just gone. The search for Joseph, unfortunately, didn't last very long. And what they found, well, it immediately turned this from a missing person case into a brutal murder investigation. Later that evening, the community's worst fears came true. Joseph's body was discovered in a swamp, and the way he was found, it was immediately obvious this wasn't some random act of violence. This was something far, far more sinister. And the motive that started to surface was just terrifying. This wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a robbery gone wrong. Investigators realized this was a ritual killing, committed because of this dark, twisted belief that sacrificing a child could actually bring someone riches and success. So, who would do something like this? Well, the investigation pretty quickly pointed to one man, Godfrey Kato Kajubi. He was a very well-known, very successful businessman. The prosecution's theory was as simple as it was chilling. Kajubi, who was already wealthy, wanted even more, and he allegedly thought this horrific act was the key to getting it. Now, with a clear suspect and a really shocking motive, you'd think the path to justice would be pretty straightforward, right? Well, the first trial delivered an absolute gut punch to Joseph's family and, honestly, to the whole country. In 2010, the court handed down a verdict that just stunned everyone. Even though the prosecution laid out its case that Kajubi had masterminded the whole thing, the judge ruled that the evidence just wasn't strong enough. And so, Godfrey Kato Kajubi was acquitted. He walked free. But this was not the end of the story, not by a long shot. That acquittal sparked huge public anger, and crucially, the police refused to give up. They kept digging, and pretty soon, brand new evidence surfaced. The real game changer? Mobile phone data that completely contradicted Kajubi's alibi and put him right near the crime scene. This new evidence was powerful enough to secure something that's actually pretty rare, a retrial. And this time, you better believe the prosecution came prepared with a case that was basically airtight. So, the prosecution rebuilt its entire case on 3 pillars. First, and this is huge, key accomplices who were involved actually confessed and then testified against Kajubi. Second, that new mobile phone data we talked about, it absolutely shredded his alibi. And finally, the gruesome nature of the crime itself was laid bare as clear, undeniable evidence of a ritual killing. So let's get to the climax of this incredibly long legal saga. After years of setbacks, years of fighting, the moment of truth had finally come. The entire nation was watching this one. The question on everybody's mind was simple. After everything, would this system finally get it right this time? And this time, the answer was a clear, resounding yes. The court found Godfrey Kato Kajubi guilty. The sentence was the harshest one possible. Life in prison. The judge, Justice Mike Chibita, did not hold back at all. He called the crime gruesome, horrendous, callous, and most unjustifiable. And really, his words perfectly captured the court's view on the absolute brutality of what was done. The impact of this case went so far beyond just the courtroom. It forced a national conversation, shining a harsh light on the horrifying fact that this practice, ritual child sacrifice driven by a belief in black magic, still existed. It sparked massive outrage and demands for real reform to protect kids and to strengthen the justice system. And for Kajubi, his legal road finally hit a dead end in 2021 when the Supreme Court threw out his final appeal. When you look at this timeline, you really see what a long, exhausting road this was. From the murder in 2008 to that final Supreme Court decision in 2021, it took 13 years of nonstop work to finally get a conviction that would stick. In the end, even though justice was technically served, no sentence, no verdict can ever bring Joseph back. His story stands as this tragic, painful reminder of a dark superstition, and it's a powerful call to do everything we can to protect the most vulnerable people among us.